I think probably the ascension right now is that I can let go and let God and let TRP set up the tools that we need to just put everything in place. And so that's how I can have a record day without me being in the clinic, because we have the policies in place. Everybody has a role. Now, I don't have six quarterbacks. I have a quarterback and then a running back and a wide receiver, and I have different skill sets that we just never had before.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
At Genesis, we help successful chiropractors implement spinal decompression with a fully turnkey system that handles everything from marketing and new patient generation to systems, protocols, and ongoing support. The result? Massive value for your practice and life-changing outcomes for your patients, all without drugs or surgery. This is the next evolution in chiropractic care. Welcome to Genesis.
So talk to me a bit about, we're going to do a before, so last, now, and next, kind of a before, during, and now future story, before and after and future. So let's talk about the last to now. Let's talk about life before the remarkable practice. What problems were you facing? What problems were you trying to solve? What challenges were you trying to overcome? What goals were you trying to, the story.
In 2018, I walked out of my marriage. My practices were okay. I felt like my wife and I were not connected. I had been working with another coach for about 4 or 5 years, 2012 through 2017, and we were just stuck. I don't think we had bad practices. I think we had good practices, but we were just stuck. We had 3 clinics, and we were collecting about 1.6 million is what I got here in 2017, and it had been stagnant like that for about 5 or 6 years. My awesome wife of 28 years now, God has glorified our marriage, and we are more connected than ever. But we have 7 incredible kids, and during the last probably, I'd say 2012 to 2017, they were finishing up high school. They were all going in different directions. I was lacking purpose and clarity with, the direction the clinics had to go in. That was spilling into my home life. We just, I don't want to say we lost connection, but I lost purpose. I didn't know if I was to be a doctor, a father. I was a soccer coach. I had so many other things that were drawing at me. And I'm not saying that spilled into the clinic, but it spilled into the clinic. Sure. I had, at that point in time, we had, I think I had 4 doctors that were managing 3 clinics, and they were, again, I think they were good. I think most chiropractors would be pretty happy saying, Doc, we probably saw 700 to 800 patients a week between the 3 clinics. My largest clinic was about 275 to maybe 325 a week. And then my third clinic was, seeing about 110 to 140 a week, which I think if you look at the national average, I think that's pretty strong practice. Collecting
super successful.
Yeah. Collecting, $500,000-$600,000 a year in one clinic is, $40,000 a month is big things. And so people are, I think we were really good. I just was not fulfilled. So I can remember my first conversation with me. If I get emotional on you right now, because dude, you picked up a broken man, and you helped that business model, and you just said, okay, man, you just need to listen, slow down, and I already have all the systems. And so it was amazing, because I met with you in 2018, and you were like, man, I'm going to coach you. I'm going to take you through this. I'm going to walk you through this stuff. The other coach that I had, when I told him I was going through my marital troubles, he's like, dude, you just need to refocus on the clinics. And you were different. You're like, all right, we're going to help you personally, professionally, and then, spiritually, and everything else is just going to come around. And I mean, dude, you delivered. I mean, I don't know what to say. You delivered. I think that I think your character is the one thing that I gravitated to, because you gave me so much courage and certainty. Now I will tell you, Doc, I stink at implementing all of your systems. Um, I'm better. I mean, I'm 5 years at it. We're much better. Where we are right now is it's unbelievable. We've gone from 800 patients a week that we have crossed the 1,300 patients in 1 week between the three clinics. It's amazing. The smallest clinic we had has the same numbers now as the biggest clinic that I had 5 years ago.
Awesome.
And the biggest clinics now are we're approaching 3 times what we used to do in business. And it's fun to look back. I do not want to repeat the process again. I have an awesome wife of 28 years, and I just think that as your kids get older and they start to kind of go in different directions, it's really easy for you to kind of want to manipulate that. And then when you have all these different staff members that are coming in and out, and then they have their own personal lives, I felt like I had to be the Band-Aid for everybody's personal wounds, and then you just absorb that. And I had that times 3 clinics, and the clinics were not growing, and we definitely had policies and procedures in place, but they didn't match the character, the personnel that I wanted to share with the communities. And I'm not saying that we're there now, but it's a lot better. If you get a chuckle, look at the Graybar Chiropractic Halloween pictures from the 3 clinics yesterday. I mean, amazing to see just the unity and the love and the smiles. And we had a record day yesterday. On Monday, Dr. Workman, I wasn't even here, so Dr. Workman, King, and Eichmann saw 159, which was that was the big number. We had seen 158, but they got 159. And so he called me up. He's like, "Man, we crushed your number." And I'm like, "Well, it's not my number. It's the team's number, man. I'm just, just there." But, what's crazy is that if I look back at the 5-year journey, I think that the practice that I have now, I'm really proud of. I am beyond blessed that my marriage is not just surviving, but it's thriving now. And Tracy and I have massive certainty and clarity with everything that we do. Our intentions and purpose on raising our kids now are on point, and that does not spill into my practice now, which was, I think, a major distraction back in the day. So that's the
awesome,
quick,
awesome.
5-minute story.
Just to put a bow on that from an objective side, what will the clinics? What do you expect for top line revenue this year? You were at 1.6 million. Where do you think you'll be now?
So 2.2 and 2.3 are going to be almost a mirror image of each other. We are about 3.3 chasing 3.4 million in the 3 clinics.
3.4 million. Awesome, man. Awesome. That's great. Congratulations, man. It's just awesome to hear it. And how you're doing it is much, much more impressive, right? So that's much more encouraging. So it's not because you're just doing more of what you were doing before. It's just not all on Dr. Graybar's shoulders anymore. And it's not just about, let's face it, it's not just about scalability. You can figure out scalability just by hiring more people, right? So there's a difference between scaling and scaling well. And then there's going from scalability to durability, which you just said it. I wasn't even there, and we had best day ever. Talk to me about that ascension that you've made from this owner operator identity and behavior to actually stepping into this role of CEO. And what has that felt like to you? What does that look like practically? And how did that, what were the rubs that you ran into with, like, for example, your team or your docs specifically there?
This is classic, man. Look at the amazing God that I have in my life every day. So check out my pen, man. This pencil says handwriting. Do you see that? Without tears. Do you see that?
Yes.
How about chiropractic without tears? That's the story of this mission right here. So this is a pencil that I was twirling around, taking notes of this thing. It says handwriting without tears. So this is my one of my kids, learning how to write better. Chiropractic without tears. That's what it is right now. So I have what TRP has done for me is it's created different components that help to drive the ship. Where before it was my Graybar show and personality that just drove everything. It was a very big personality based practice. I have ADD, ABC, OCD, and probably QRST as well. And so, I resonate like at this level, like just crazy. The door opens up at 8 o'clock, and I know who's the highest energy, and I'm going to beat them. And so, my staff it's just really hard for the other doctors to match that. And so, when I wasn't in the practice, you could feel the whole energy just dropped, and the clinic dropped. Now, because we have a check-in CA, she has a certain role. She knows exactly what she has to do. Check out CA. They are not the same people. They have completely different personalities and character. I have a new patient advocate. Actually, I have two now in my big practices because that was probably the biggest time saver. And again, it's amazing to me. But you take a 65-year-old or 70-year-old, patient walks in the door, they'll connect with a 25-year-old so differently than they'll connect with a doctor. And so they get to meet two incredible people on day one, which to me is something I would have never pictured, because in the past I was just like, get out of my way. I need to do it. They need to meet me. I'm the one. And so now new patient advocate can take that role. And then of course we have techs in the back. So, we run a staff of anywhere between 3 to 6 people, plus 2 to 3 doctors. So, I think probably the ascension right now is that I can let go and let God and let TRP set up the tools that we need to just put everything in place. And so that's how I can have a record day without me being in the clinic, because we have the policies in place. Everybody has a role. I don't have 6 quarterbacks. I have a quarterback and then a running back and a wide receiver, and I have different skill sets that we just never had before. It was Mike Graybar was the quarterback, and then I also was the running back, and then I was this and this, and then also in the past I had 3 different office managers to run the 3 clinics, and they all competed for my love every day, and they wanted to be my favorite. And so they would argue between the 3 clinics. And the biggest thing that you did is you came to me, you're like, oh, you get 1. And I'm like, no, I have 3. And you're like, no, you get 1. And so I put Crystal in charge of as the COO. So she's the cooler now. And, they can be the bouncers, but she's the cooler, and she knows when to turn on and when to turn it off. And so she now is my point person. So, I think that that accountability chart that we talk about over and over again. So now I can kind of delegate the tasks out. And so I think it comes back much easier now. That is really probably the biggest thing that I can lay my hat on now, that I don't have to tackle every task every day. And that to me is the big role now that
and you didn't
I'm
have to
going
get rid of the other office managers. You brought one up, right? So you have that office manager that you brought up to be the COO, who's truly the boss. They're running the business, and you have your office managers that are each boots on the ground in a clinic. And then that frees you up to lead the business. So you no longer have to run the team, you lead the team. You don't have to run the practice, you lead the practice. You don't have to run the business, you lead the business. It's been fun to watch you make that change, Dr. Michael. And I appreciate your trust there, because I know that that's wicked hard for us recovering control freaks to recognize as like, no, let me groom this person and equip them and train them to be able to run my business. It's a totally different experience for you as a leader.
Yeah. And I'm not recovering yet. I'm not a recovering control freak. I still am that control freak. That's the biggest thing I think that I need to do in the next 5 years is I need to just trust more and more. It's amazing to see the numbers and where we are from 5 years ago to 5 years now. I think that, what we have here is a new norm. I think that what's crazy is that I think there's actually more growth. I think I don't think it's crazy to say that in 5 years I might see another 25%. I don't think we're going to jump up. I mean, we went from 1.6 to 3.3. I mean, that's double. That's crazy, right? I mean, that's nuts. I don't think I can go from 3.3 to 6.6. That would just be bonkers. But
well, here's the good news: is you didn't believe you were going to be able to double the business 3 years ago. So
yeah.
let me tell you right now, and it's captured on video, you will be doubling this business in the
Yeah,
next
I
5
think
years.
that,
So
yeah, I do think that there's, I think as we have more, you know, what's crazy too is that the staff turnover is so much less now because there's not as much competition to see who does what and that kind of stuff. They all have their role. Um, like my Wallace clinic that I'm sitting in here today, I have a gentleman that's been with me for 2 years. He's my rehab tech, and he's leaving because he's getting married, and his wife is going to move to. They're going to move an hour away from here to be with her, be closer to her family, and he's like crying on the way out because he's like, you know, I've been here 2 years. This is my favorite job. It's my best job, but you know, I know that an hour and 20 minutes in a car in each direction every day is going to be difficult. But he's fretting over it because he's going, you know what? It might be worth the hour and 20 minutes just to have this career. So you know, he's struggling with that right now. But that's probably one of the cooler things now is that staff doesn't. I don't think they're as frustrated as much, and I think it's a lot like raising kids. You put the guardrails up and tell them where they should be, and of course there's overlap with all the job positions, and you know, of course the patient care is that's the to me the most important concept, that the patients get an experience every time they come in that's just truly special, and everybody believes it now and buys into it. And you know, you can see the Halloween costumes yesterday. The patients just jumping up to be part of it.
So good. Hey, we had an interesting experience with your doctors, right? So you've got a gaggle of doctors working for you now, right? So what is it? 5? It's U plus 5 or U plus 6? How many DCs do you have now?
I got me with 7.
Okay, so you ran into this identity crisis with the doctors because you know you ran into this situation where the way I described it is you tried to sneak into the role of CEO and you were hoping nobody would notice.
Yeah,
So
it's
you went
really
from
funny. Can you mute this section because I have other
how did
words
you
for
live
you?
that out? Because they thought you were just going golfing. So you tried to sneak into the role, hoping no one would notice, not even your associates. That was a challenge. Talk to us a bit about that.
Oh man, can we mute this section for 30 seconds? This is the hardest part for me. I coached high school soccer for almost 12 years, and every practice, when I told the guys that allowed to do wind sprints, the coach, the old man here, 54, would line up next to him, and I'd say, "Try to beat me to the end." And so that's just my mentality. And you know, if there's 25 kids, I mean, there may be 4 or 5 that had more pace than me at 50, but I can still fight them. So in the clinic, I just have that mentality that if I'm not here, it's not going to run well. And it's been the hardest thing for me to let go. I still have not let go of it all, but I've made a decision here in the last. It's really coming together in the last 60 days that you know Wednesdays is my day off from patient care, and I probably need to take another day or two because Chris and I are able to accomplish so many things now. Before I was doing, you know, 40 hours a week of patient care and then another 15, 20 hours a week of nonsense on the weekends. And, you know, it was frying me, which I would go back and say, okay, that's why my marriage was struggling because everything was in the office. It should have stayed in the office is now coming home. My wife wants me to put time into her and the family. And I'm like, you don't understand. I got to do this and this and this. And so it was chaos. So now I've moved into this Wednesday role, and you're right. I absolutely tried to hide it. I told everybody like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do here. I'm going to come out of patient care, but you're going to see me here, and I'm not going to be doing this and this. And so I did it for about 4 or 5 weeks, and I was definitely trying to hide it. And then about 2 weeks ago, I showed up with a pair of shorts on, a golf shirt, and I said, I'm going to be here for 4 hours. They're like, what are you going to be in the afternoon? I said, I'm going to be working on my golf swing because I earned it. And that's what I'm going to do. But you know, what's funny is that even though, you know, I might take 4 hours to myself and go out, I'm still working the business, you know, even on the golf course, I'm meeting and greeting, talking to people and sharing. But what the cool thing is now Chris and I have actually disconnected on Wednesday from the clinics because we truly needed it. Because we just ran, you know, 50, 60-hour weeks forever. How long do you run that? It's just, it fried us both. So Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, we both shut down our laptops and phones and we just disconnect. And we work really hard. Like I'm like you now. Well, I'm definitely not like you. I'm learning from you. I sent her a list this morning. 8 to 8:30 Franson call. 8:35 to 9:40, we're going to be doing this with the staff. 9:40 to 10 o'clock, we're going to do this. 10:30 got this. These are the goals that we're going to accomplish today. And we set aside the time, and now it's very disciplined. And it's definitely a big role. But I do think that the one thing that I will learn from this experience is that you just have to. I think you have to set the standards that you are definitely, running the show, and there's nothing that's bad about it. I mean, someone has to be the CEO, someone has to be the business owner, and it's not just seeing patients. It's about managing. I mean, I have 26 families that count on me to write them a paycheck every 2 weeks.
That's right.
I have to take a lot of pride in that, and it has to be done. And so I have to have, I talked to you probably about a month ago, I think, and you gave me that idea of you have three different hats. You have the CEO hat, you've got the patient care hat, and then you've got the, I forgot
Owner.
the second hat in the row, owner. And they're all completely different. And I sat down with all the doctors and I said, I'm just going to share this with you. But last week on a Monday, I walked into a clinic that was a staff person down. On top of that, the wind from the storm had blown the roof off and it had ripped the front sign. And so then I had to make a phone call to the insurance company for the building, as well as to replace a new sign. But then there were also 175 people on the books that I had to be an adjuster for it. That's crazy. Oh, and by the way, it was payroll week. So how do I do that? And so in the past, I would just stick my head in the ground. I would adjust the 170 people, and then the other three things would fall by the wayside. Now, everybody on my team's like, all right, I get it. I think there's still maybe one or two doctors that are like, you could probably do more in the clinics, but I think they're all understanding right now that no one else is going to make those phone calls. No one else can do those due diligence. That's my role.
Yeah, I think, you're demonstrating the three ascensions, right? And to recognize that, as the small business owner, you're a chiropractor, you're a business owner, right? And you're the CEO of the business, right? So those are three distinct roles, three distinct hats. And the ascension of that business owner is, going for the classic story of working on the business versus working in the business. But there's a new dimension to that, right? It's working above the business as well, right? So when you are the chiropractor and you're in the adjustatorium, for example, and working with patients, you're working in the business, and that's wonderful. That's awesome. And you get to see as many patients as you want. We all know the difference between getting to see patients and having to see patients. And
Sure.
then the ascension from working in the business to working on the business is when you make the ascension to CEO. When you put your CEO hat on, you're working on the business. Like this conversation, when you're working with your COO and your office manager and you're managing three clinics, but you're leading the three clinics and you have a manager managing the clinics, right? So now you're working on the business as the CEO. And then the third ascension, which is working above the business, which is working as the owner of the business, right? So when you're working as the owner, as an investor, your perspective around your decisions and what you're spending your time doing as a business owner is different. And to just make a distinction between those two, the CEO and the owner, is one day as the owner, you might hire a CEO to come in and work for you, right? So you're still the owner in the owner's box, right? So Michael, I'm proud of you, man. It's been so fun to watch you turn this pirate ship into a battleship. And I know we all walk with a limp, right? It's all a process. Thank you, Lord. It's all a process, and we're all getting better all the time. We appreciate the trust. We appreciate the implementation, how you have your entire team engaged with us. And, I know that you are seeing the ROI. So last thing I'm going to ask you, if you were to speak to you, I know that Nick Rodsader and Steph Rodsader referred you to us early on, and they had to wrestle you into the remarkable practice. If you were talking to Dr. Mike Graybar before this, if we were to get in a time machine and go backwards, what would you have said to yourself to say, trust the process, get in, make it happen?
What I said to myself, like recruiting myself?
What you would have said to yourself, because we all have different reasons, trepidations, reasons we don't take action. I'm curious to know, what would you have said to yourself and the questions that you had about making that shift, making that change, and joining the remarkable practice?
I'll answer it with a statement. So I have been to 2 or 3 other coaching groups, and all had the same success that I had prior to 2017. Everybody has a process that they believe is the best. And this is where I think there's always that hesitancy to going, okay, it's just another group. It's just another concept. The biggest thing that I do is that your your direction and your leadership just completely connected with my group and particularly with me. And you just gave us that, I've said it too many times now, but that certainty and clarity that this is exactly how it is. And, we put the steps forth and it absolutely worked. And so to me, it'd be like throwing my phone down now. See that? That was the Lord telling me that he wanted to end with a big roll. I just think that I just need to trust in the Lord, and I need to trust in the process that you were placed in my life for a huge reason, and that's why we have jumped in. But yeah, I would jump in again with both feet and trust in your process. But that's probably it, man. And I am blessed. I remember telling Nick and Steph in 2020, I was like, yo, you should hear what I've done. And they're like, I told you should have gotten in 2 years ago. And I'm like, well, God's timing is always perfect. So the perfect timing was meant to be. But yeah, without hesitation, I'm excited to continue on. I think that your leadership will continue to direct it. And of course, my son Ryan is 10 months away from graduating from chiropractic school. So you will take the next generation through for the next 30 years.
I'm gonna get to the next Graybar early.
Yeah, he's gonna learn from my stubbornness that he just needs to trust more and follow it.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you, brother. All right, we love you, Dr. Mike. We love to have fun with you, but we love you. You're the representation of everything we do, and I appreciate you helping me personally serve my purpose, which is to help more people. So thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Cheers.
Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy.
Welcome, everyone. This is Coach Oz from the Remarkable Practice. And with me, I have our amazing success partner from Better Balance Orthotics, Dr. Andrew Powell. Dr. Andrew, welcome.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Lovely. And I wanted everyone to get to know you a bit more. So if you can introduce yourself and just give a bit of a background about your story.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So, I've been a doc for 23 years. And but even before that, really, I grew up my whole life having super flat feet. I couldn't run. I was like the slowest kid. I was the soccer. When I played soccer, I was the goalie on my team. I got 1 year as fullback, and then they were like, no, mate, you better be goalie. I just was not athletic. And I realized now that the problem was my feet. In fact, when I got into chiropractic school, I really realized that was the problem for the cause for my lower back disc problems, my hip problems, a whole bunch of problems in my body. And everybody knew I had flat feet, but nobody ever thought there was anything you could do about it. So when I did get into practice, I got into using orthotics in my practice, and I used a bunch of different companies. I used to have like the fancy gait scanner that you could walk over, and it took all these pretty pictures and images of your feet, all these great bells and whistles. But I didn't see changes. I didn't see changes in my own feet, and I didn't see changes in my patients' feet. I didn't see anything that was lasting. In fact, I wore those orthotics for probably nearly 10 years, and I would say at the end of that time, my feet were not better, they were worse. My feet and my posture were worse than when I started. So fortunately, I came across a medical doctor who was an amazing creator, and his daughter had very bad scoliosis. She'd had a bad failed scoliosis Harrington rod surgery, and he was looking for a solution. So he found something over in France and Italy where they were studying the effect of the feet on posture. And he actually created a device that he called at the time Healthmark Orthotics as a treatment for scoliosis. And, it was really working well on that level. He had a ton of before and after x-rays and some really cool stuff. So I started wearing these and I started using them in my own practice. And for years, I started just using them to treat scoliosis. But over time, we discovered more and more conditions that respond to these. In fact, we started to really understand what they were doing to a patient's neurology, to the point where no longer do we use them for specific conditions. We actually assess everybody, anyone who wears shoes regularly or anyone who walks on flat surfaces, which, let's face it, right, that's all of us. These are an ideal solution for. So sadly, in 2020, Dr. Ed passed away. And at that point, we took over his company. He said to me, look, Andrew, I know I've got a world-changing product here that's going to help a lot of people. And I've just lived my whole life. I've been so busy with my medical practice that I've never been able to give it the attention it deserves. So, I'd really like you to go and take this out to the world. So since 2020, that's what we've been doing.
Love it. What an amazing mission. What an amazing purpose, right? And you mentioned that you found so many other health benefits using these, not just for scoliosis. So, if I'm a doctor and I'm really interested in this right now, what sort of other benefits and changes does Better Balance Orthotics have for people?
So the benefits and changes are huge. We measure them and we prescribe them primarily based on posture. And I guess what happened in the clinic, it was really a journey for us. We started out using them for scoliosis, but then we got some great results for obvious foot stuff. I had a friend of mine, a doc, who had plantar fasciitis for 2 years, and nothing he did, he couldn't change it. And he swears that within 15 minutes of putting these on his feet, it went away and never came back. So, foot stuff was obvious, but then we started to see real improvements in patients' knee problems, in their lower back, in their neck pain, in their headaches. And, one that really comes to mind, I had an older patient and she had 3 bad falls within about a 6-month period. She banged up her shoulders, she hurt her neck and her back. And she came in one day with a walking stick and she just looked so defeated. She looked so miserable. She said to me, "I hate using this thing, but I just don't feel safe without it." And, she was already getting adjusted. I thought, what else can I do to help her? So I thought, let's just put some of these on her feet and see what happens. And what happened was that she came back in about 2 weeks' time, just beaming, right? Like a different woman. She looked like 20 years younger. And she was like, "I'm so excited. I've thrown away my walking stick. I just don't feel like I need it anymore. I feel so much more safe and secure on my feet." So that was a real penny drop for me. It was like, wow, there's a huge implication here for falls prevention with the elderly, for balance. We wanted to start to see what's this really doing. So we actually got a vestibular plate, which measures balance. You do eyes open, eyes closed, stable, unstable, and gives you a quantified falls risk. And what we see is that this is changing hugely when people start wearing these orthotics. So over time, posture changes. We see forward head carriage really reduced. We see pelvic alignment really improved. So pretty much everything physical and mechanical in the body changes. They help with how we absorb the impact forces from the ground. So my belief, although I don't have the evidence yet for this, is that long-term wearing them reduces osteoarthritis and joint damage. We see people's balance and their neurology overall improve. The reality is we weren't designed to walk on flat surfaces. We weren't designed to wear shoes. We spent millions of years getting this proprioceptive input through our feet with every step that we took every day. And unfortunately, none of us get that anymore.
100% true. Because literally, like, modern life right now is just unnaturally stressful. Our bodies are geared, you can even look at screens and phones these days, tech neck, just you're losing that natural seat curvature of the spine. Now we're looking at the feet section, right? Like we're always on flat surfaces. So we're losing that proprioceptive input coming from the feet as well. So that's massive. That's a really amazing thing to focus on and to get people to change their health outcomes for the better. So, Dr. Andrew, let's say that I'm a doc and I go, okay, that's great. I want to incorporate this into my practice and start to sell it, start to bring it into, I want to know if I can get a return on investment on this. How would that look like?
So really, our docs are getting a huge return on investment, which is something we love, right? We want it to be a win-win-win. We say it's got to be a win for the patient, a win for the practice, and a win for the doc as well. So what we've done is made it really, really easy, right? Like I said, I used these in my own practice for many years, probably about 10 years now. And Dr. Ed, as much as I love him, wasn't a businessman. He was an incredible doctor and creator, but it used to be difficult. They'd arrive and your staff would have to customize them. And so when we took over the company, we went, what's everything that we find difficult about this, and let's change that. We really tried to optimize it so that it was just easy for docs and easy for them to communicate the benefits and really just plug and play the whole system. So we provide everything you need. You start off with a starter pack, which gives you your own personal pair to wear, because you've got to experience it for yourself, right? You've got to walk your talk. Then you get everything you need to have it up and running in your clinic right away. We give you all the training, all the resources. We can train your staff. We can give you the language patterns. Over years, we found that patients really understand, so that it just clicks for them and they get it. So we really make it as simple as possible to put this into your clinic. In terms of the economics, you make $200 pair per profit. So they're a profit per pair, I should say. They're actually a great price for the patient, and they're covered by most health funds. So the patient gets a lot of their money back. But, $200 per pair. And really the system that we use in my clinic is we know how important these are for people to retain their adjustments. So we assess every patient on the initial visit, and then we report on it on the report of findings, and it becomes an important part of our care plan. We explain to the patients, this is going to help you make the most of every adjustment and hold your adjustments better between visits. It's going to help you get results better, faster. So, the thing about chiropractic practice is there's a lot of costs involved. We work hard, but it's an expensive business. And so sometimes you see these practices where there's high turnover, but it's not high profit. At the end of the day, there's not a lot of money going into the bank. And so these really change that equation. When you're making an extra $200 profit up front on each patient, it really becomes that win-win. The patients do better, the clinics do better, everyone does better. And that's what we love about it.
The ultimate win-win-win. I love that. And one of the things that I'll ask as well is like these most likely have like wear and tear, like normal generalized orthotics as well. And
yes,
because they get such great changes in outcomes, that's also a reoccurring revenue, or people might get multiple pairs for different types of shoes as well. Is that right?
absolutely. So, if you're anything like me, I'm lazy. I don't like changing things from shoes to shoes. So I have a pair in every pair of shoes. So we do find many people will get multiple pairs, or when their health fund rolls over at the end of the year, we send them a little reminder of that and say, hey, do you need a second pair, or do you want to fit anyone else in your family? So they also generate a lot of referrals because really people do love them. It's almost embarrassing to me sometimes when patients come back and say how much these have changed their life. I'm like, well, it's great. What about all the other things we do? But they do. Patients just rave about it. And so very often they're bringing their family in to get fitted, which is just another opportunity to share chiropractic with them. People often are picking up a new pair every year or two. So yes, there's a recurring, not just a recurring sale, but a recurring conversation to engage in with that patient about what they can be doing to optimize their health.
I love that. And let's say that I've heard this and I go, I want to actually look into it more. I want to actually take some actions, get into contact with you. What would be the best way to do that, Dr. Andrew?
So the best way to do that, we've got a quick video that kind of gives you a bit more information, explains about it, and then gives you an opportunity to book in a call with me. You can jump straight onto my calendar. So it's a bit of a longer link, but it's info.betterbalanceorthotics.com/watch video. That would really be the best place to start.
We'll make sure we slot that into the video here somewhere, and we'll also put it into the description so you can click on it and check it out as well. So before we wrap up, Doc, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Look, the one piece, I guess, that I really want to just touch on is what I love about these orthotics is their alignment with our chiropractic philosophy, right? One of the things that makes us different, in fact, really the key thing that makes us different is our philosophy around health. And one of my mentors, Dr. Patrick Gentempo, always teaches that any contradiction in your philosophy leads to destruction. And so, I talk to docs and they go, you know what, I don't really like orthotics. And like, man, I get it, not only because I wore them for years and they didn't work for me, but what I've really come to understand is that traditional orthotics are just like a mechanical crutch. When I test patients, they don't make the same neurological and functional changes that ours do. So the way I teach it to my patients, I say, look, if you had a back problem and you wore a back brace every day, you might have less back pain, but do you think your back would get weaker or stronger? And everybody gets it, right? They go, well, my back would get weaker because the back brace is doing the work instead of my muscles. And exactly the same thing is true with a traditional orthotic. It's an arch support. It's pushing your foot into a certain position, but it's not really making your body work the way it was designed to work. Better balance orthotics are completely different. There's no support, no arch support at all. They're purely about stimulation. They're functional. They're about stimulating the nervous system. And I mean, let's face it, that's what we're all about as chiropractors, is working with the nervous system to create better function. And so these do that in a way that creates lasting changes. We see lasting changes in posture. We see people's bunions straighten up. In my own case, the flat feet that I had for like the first 30 years of my life are gone. I've got really great functional arches now. So I feel like this just got rid of a significant contradiction in my philosophy. This just fits so well with our chiropractic philosophy. It fits our paradigm, and I can really feel completely in integrity when I talk to patients about it and say, you know what, having these on your feet is going to allow you to get better outcomes. It's going to happen faster. You're going to get the most out of every adjustment, the most value out of your care plan, and you're going to hold your adjustments better. And, that's just the truth. So it's really, I think these are the perfect match for our chiropractic philosophy.
Awesome. I've got nothing to say there. You just said it and wrapped it up perfectly. So guys, please check out Better Balance Orthotics. Click on the link. Go get in touch with Dr. Andrew. You won't regret it. I'll see you guys later. Thanks, Doc.
Thanks, man. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.